you and said that, you know, in order to be better on special teams, they want to invest more in terms of offensive and defensive starters and key players on those units. Do you think you'll have more of a presence on those units than you had in the past?
We will, and it was twofold. It's kind of the seniors who are willing to step up. We've talked about we can be better on offense, better on defense, but I think where we can make the biggest impact in the 2012 season is in our special teams, in the way that we not only kick and punt the ball, but in the way we cover kickoffs, cover punts, the big play opportunities we have on kickoff return and punt return. I don't think we were near as effective a year ago, and that's one of the things that we've worked hard on in the last 8 months. We've restructured the coaching staff, so to speak, where I've put more coaches involved in special teams than I've ever had. So we've got more coaches. There's pretty much 5 coaches coaching every phase of special teams: punt, punt return, kickoff, kickoff return. Much more of a one-on-one, one-on-two type of mindset where we got more eyes on the film and much more guys involved in it. I've changed the structure of it. We've looked at getting the staff more involved, and we've also looked from a personnel standpoint of getting more of our starters in an active role. And so we've taken the mindset that it's an all-hands-on-deck mindset for special teams, and so you will see some more starters running down on an opening kickoff, or I go, for example, Demetrius Murray is one of the guys on the front line on the kickoff return, and he's your starting tailback. But right now those guys also want to be involved. They're like, whatever we can do to help this football team win this year.
That's something that this new depth also facilitates, though, right?
Exactly. It gives you the ability to do that, because if somebody needs a rest, they can take it on a play or two on offense or defense, rather than having to play 70 or 80 plays on that side of the ball and then also run down on 5-6 kickoffs or kickoff returns during the course of the game is a lot to ask of a young man. And so that depth will definitely help facilitate that a little bit more, and having the depth on offense and defense, I think, is going to put better players on the special teams, but it's also going to mean that a player may not have to play as many plays on offense and defense, and we're going to have the opportunity to platoon people a little bit more than we have been in the past.
Coach, you touched on that Chattanooga defense. They have three season MCS All-Americans in Williams, Joe Thard, and one. So could you kind of talk about anything offensively that you guys have been trying to do to prevent that impact?
Well, you look at it, and again, it's not so much schematics what they do. I mean, it's you know where they're going to be. They just line up and they play extremely hard. I think their 2 defensive ends are excellent. One, I mean, is the all-time leading sack in UTC history, and he's still got a whole season to go. I think he's got 21.5 sacks in 3 years. Very active, comes off the ball, plays with a great motor. Their middle linebacker is extremely active, had a lot of tackles last year, very active in the middle, and I think the guy that makes it all work is a safety, number 20. I'm dealing more on numbers than names, sorry, in watching film. But I think he is one of the engines that makes the whole defense run. But you talk about a great safety, great linebacker, and a great defensive end. They also, kind of one of the unknowns, they got a 300-pound transfer from Georgia who's starting for him on the defensive line, who's going to bring a lot more girth and size to a defensive line that their ends are only about 235 pounds, but inside they were about 260, and now all of a sudden they add a 300-pounder and a 295-pound defensive nose guard. They've got a lot more girth up inside. So I think it's going to be a matter of execution. Like I said, we're going to have to come off the ball as an offensive line. It's going to be a challenge for us because they do have an excellent defense. And like I said, Russ's background is there. He's won everywhere he's been. He had the Stonewall defense at Richmond. He had the great defense at William & Mary. He's coming here now, and he's building this program, and he's doing it the right way. I have a lot of respect for how he's done it. But I think with the caliber players they have, it's not so much you don't know where they're going to be. You're going to have to challenge your offense to come off the ball, and we're going to have to block them. We're going to have to put a hat on a hat, and we're going to have to out-effort them and out-execute them.
Coach Fish mentioned the increased vertical threat in the receivers. Who do you see opening things up down the field, and will there be more opportunities for that in the passing game?
I just think there's more speed on the field than we've had in the past. When you look at Terrence Mitchell was out all of last year. Sterling Griffin missed quite a bit of time last year. Derek Hopkins played a very limited role. Wasn't catching the ball as consistently as he has, but I talked about him pretty high yesterday, just about the great things that he's done. He's caught the ball. I think he's like 76 catches and 6 drops since camp started. He's catching the ball, I think it's at about 93%. He's really doing a nice job. And I think having him out on the field, having the Terrence Mitchell out on the field, the big playability that Andre Davis showed a year ago, the stability of what Sterling Griffin is bringing to us, I think we have more deep threats out there at the wide receiver position than we've had in years past. Now, we got to make sure that we can throw it to them. You know, they can get behind them, but if we can't throw it and catch it, then it won't matter. And those are some of the things I'm talking about being able to execute. You know, we can throw it down the field, but throwing it down the field isn't why we're going to win. It's being able to execute the route, the throw, the read, the throw, and the catch. Is why I say I'm worried about us and making sure that we can execute and be polished. But we definitely have more weapons there, more speed there than we've had in the past.
Skip, you talked about Marcus Shaw for a long time in terms of talent, but
Yes.
it seems like the biggest change has been him becoming somebody that can be a dependable and reliable back.
Correct, without a doubt. We've talked about his talent since his freshman year. He was one of the only players that played his true freshman year when we first got here in that first year. But he has great talent. He has speed. He has athleticism. He's shifty. He can make you miss in the open field. He's physical. He's tough. I mean, he's got all the attributes that you want. But if you can't trust him to go the right way or to block the right guy when he doesn't have the ball, then you can't play him. And that's where I think he's really matured and developed. We always talk about the transformation of going from freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, talking about how freshmen and sophomores just want to play, juniors want to start, and seniors want to win. I think he's going through that transition, and he's really made some great strides, and he's becoming a guy that, a lot like a Demetrius Murray, that we can really start to count on a down-in and down-out basis. So really been proud of his progress. I think Larry Scott's done a really nice job with the running backs and with the development of a guy like Marcus Shaw.
Skip, could you talk about the rule changes for this year and specifically the ball coming out to the 25-yard line on a touchback?
Well, I think the biggest thing, every rule change that was made this year is all about player safety. I think there were about 4 or 5 rule changes, and all of them are involving player safety. You have what they're trying to eliminate is the kickoff and kickoff return. Really is what they're trying to eliminate it without doing away with it. I think if they could, they'd like to say after a score you start on the 25-yard line. There was a statistic a year ago that I think it was 17 to 19% of all major injuries occurred on 4% of the plays, which are kickoff and kickoff return. So they really took a hard look at how they have to do to address it, and that's why they moved the ball up 5 yards so we would have more touchbacks. They moved the kicking team up to where you can't be more than 5 yards from the ball to eliminate some of the running head starts and maybe eliminate some of the collisions. But I also think when you look at the NFL moved it up to the 35, but everybody's running the ball out because they feel they can still get to the 20. So I think they were trying to make it a bigger reward for the team that took the knee and said, we know we have it on the 25. There aren't many teams averaging more than 25 yards of kickoff return. And so if you take those averages, you're going to down the ball and take it on the 25 rather than try and bring it out. And the kicking team is going to be 5 yards closer. So I think ultimately that's what they were trying to do with player safety, is eliminate some of the kickoff and kickoff return. I still think you'll see some of it, but there will definitely be more touchbacks than there have been in years past. I also think the helmet coming off rule where you have to come out of the game. I think the 1 yard halo in front of the returner, the punt returner where he can't catch the ball and then immediately be engaged. They're just trying to eliminate on player injuries and trying to increase player safety, which I applaud them for in some of the rule changes they've made.
Skip, if the numbers tell you that the returns will yield outside the 20, are you still trying to keep inside the 20, or are you just happy to keep inside the 25?
Well, I mean, I think you look at it, if I kick the ball in the end zone, well, I won't kick it at all. I can't kick it to the midfield. If Kloss or Bonani kick it into the end zone and it's a touchback, I know they're going to start on the 25, but I know they're not going to start on my 25 too. And you look back and say in the Rutgers game a year ago, if I could have gotten a touchback on that play, I would have taken it. So for me as a football coach, I think you're going to have to make some decisions. And I think the flow of the game and where you are in the game and whether or not you're going to try and pooch it to the 1 and keep somebody pinned up, or whether you're going to take the touchback and start it on the 25-yard line. I think some of that is going to come into play, but I think regardless, you're going to see more touchbacks during the course of the season, which was the ultimate goal of the Rules Committee, to not eliminate the thrill of the kickoff return and the way the excitement that it brings and the big chunks of yardage that goes with it, but to maybe minimize it so you don't see as many of them so we can eliminate some of those catastrophic injuries.
Is it a radical thought to think one day we might not have kickoff returns in football?
No. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. I think, again, it's all about the player safety is where it starts, and that's why I said I really applaud the Rules Committee for some of the changes that they've made. They all involve blocking below the waist to eliminate injuries, the halo, the kickoff return. I mean, everything that they're trying to do right now is trying to make it a safer game, especially with the huge emphasis right now on concussions and what we're learning about it. I think we're all trying to make the game safer from an equipment standpoint and a rule standpoint. So I don't think it's out of the question that it may one day happen, but until then, we're going to play by the rules. We're going to have a kickoff return team and a kickoff team until then.
Is it easier or harder opening up here at home against Chattanooga than it was last year with going to Notre Dame with all the hype that was surrounding there?
I don't know that there's ever an easy opener, because when you watch openers around the country, normally they're flooded with penalties, turnovers. I think there's more upsets early in the season than there is later in the season because you just don't know how an 18 or 19-year-old, a couple of these true freshmen that we're going to play, how are they going to respond in a game-like atmosphere? This is going to be their first opportunity to play in front of a crowd in Raymond James Stadium with the place with a lot of people in it and television cameras on and those type of things. And so from that standpoint, that's what you worry about. I think, a year ago it was exciting. I think we were really excited about having the opportunity to go play Notre Dame, to go up there and play them with the magnitude of that game and what it meant for our program, as we talked about, one of the youngest programs against one of the oldest, most tradition-rich programs. But this year, I don't see any less excitement in this football team in the opponent. I think since last year, December 1st, this team's been chomping at the bit to get on the field. And I don't think it matters who we play in this opening game. I think they're excited to go play it. So I don't see a big difference in the mindset of the players right now, or the effort, or their attitude, or their focus, or the way they're looking at things. I just think they're excited to play, and I think this football team is very mature with the number of seniors and upperclassmen we have coming back. And I think it's not just a cliche when we talk about 1-0. I think they're truly in a 1-0 mentality, that they understand if we play each and every game. This week, our only goal is to be 1-0 on Saturday night at about 11 o'clock. That's the only goal we have. We can't be 2-0. We can either be 1-0 and 0-1, so let's make sure we take care of business. I just think they're excited to get on the field.
Skip, for the true freshmen going in, I mean, obviously we know that Sean Price and Eric Lee are going to play.
Yes.
Montgomery. Are there others right now that going into the first game are going to suit up?
I think Sean Price will definitely play. He's in the rotation and will definitely play. Eric Lee is definitely in the rotation and play. DeVario Montgomery is the guy that's in the mix. I can't tell you that he will definitely play this right now, but I feel pretty certain as we go through the course of this season that he's going to have an opportunity to make a contribution. Right now, a couple of the freshmen are going through. They've never worked that hard as what we just did for the last 2.5 weeks, or 3 weeks, starting from August 5th. They haven't worked this hard. They kind of hit that wall, mental wall, physical wall, start dropping easy passes, forgetting easy plays, things like that. But now that we're back into the season, I think he'll start working himself back up into the rotation. I think before the year's over, he'll definitely play. Hamilton is another guy that's in that same scenario, that when you look at Pork Chop coming off his injury, and you look at Chandler and the injury he's had with his foot, and you look at what Elkino had with his knee, missing some time, he's gotten a lot of work, and I think he's in that same position that DeVario Montgomery is. I think right now those are the main guys that are in that conversation at this point in time.
No on Whitehurst right now.
No, Whitehurst is another one that I would put in Hamilton and DeVario's situation. He missed last week because of an ankle injury, but I think had he not missed last week, then he definitely would have played this weekend. I'm not going to rule out his season, but I want to see what he's going to do during the course of the week and how he's going to handle that playing. But definitely